Most mobile game fanatics like me agree that there's nothing better than a console quality game that you can actually play with a controller on the go, whether if it's on vacation, at home, or even better, when there is just no internet around. Today we have rounded up a list of 20 mostly single-player offline games in nature with controller support to play on your Android and iOS devices as well. Shadowgun Legends at number 1, we're gonna recommend just first and foremost because it's been ever since it released the game one of the best of all time, even to this day. It's a free-to-play science fiction based first-person shooter that offers co-op for playing with your friends and a story mode to go for a rather engaging campaign and story. This game features one of the best graphics on the platform and it could potentially actually have low frames because it's a heavy one. Heavy, but a really well-developed game and about 1.5 gigabytes in size. It's playable offline and supports most controllers. Since release, one of the most well-received shooting games on the Play Store. Number 2, it is a bullet hell. Number 1 game on the platform, Air Attack 2. Technically a $1 game, but you can actually play the whole thing for free. Air Attack's been up until earlier this year, a rather dead game. However, a few months ago it received an update that made it the best game on the platform. New skins, more weapons, playable free, offline, and now it even supports controllers. The game is about 300 megabytes in total and this is really how it looks. Gonza Dawn, on the other hand, is sort of a mix of arena shooters and a little bit of Red Dead. But not Redemption in any way. The old ones, I mean literally the first Red Dead, not Redemption, which was technically a co-op arena style shooter. This game is pretty much that, albeit for phones, with a very similar formula, and I can say it's safe to assume the most fun you'll have on your cell phone with a friend, if Red Dead is one of your things. 10 out of 10, it's about 600 megabytes in storage. Number 4, for those of you who either played it already or not, because it's not just Goat Simulator, it's actually the huge DLC Coffee Stain publishers made possible on the Play Store a year later. So you can play Goat Simulator for free and offline with a controller if you want it, on both platforms too. It's a very fun game to play and literally one of the dumbest as well. However, the DLC here is a pretty accurate Star Wars reference with even more comedy, contains many levels and plenty of things to just find and mess around with. The DLC is about $8 in price and available on both platforms. Good one. Number 5, it is, of course, Children of Light, Sky. Pretty sure most of you are already familiar with the game, but just in case, it's an adventure game by the same creators of the game Journey that originally came out to the Apple arcades only. This game is now playable for free, totally on Android devices too. It's perfectly adapted to touchscreen, but with a controller, it's just on a whole other level. It's playable online, offline, with friends or without friends, and as always, has a beautifully crafted world and some of the best soundtracks you'll ever hear in a video game.
Do you folks have phones? The original Vampire Survivors is...
The one game in the list over here that's already rated overwhelmingly on Steam and every other store there is, we've got a bullet hell action roguelike nostalgia, the one and only Vampire Survivors. Simply just a bullet hell game with roguelite elements in different maps with many weapons, enemies, and upgrades. Vampire Survivors is almost a 20-year-old classic and technically speaking the most addicting game, not only in the list here, but released in 2023. With better quality, it's free, it's about 600 megabytes in total. Coming from the same developers of Space Marshals, we've got over here at number 7, Xenoworks, perhaps, if not set in vain, and even more engaging and challenging top-down action shooter, halfway an alien shooter, and a dungeon crawler. It has great graphics, never heard of a bug with it, and just as smooth as the word could describe. Perfectly balanced for anyone with a taste for shooters. I mean, Xenoworks with a controller, it's mainly an offline game. By the way, Space Marshals, from the same folks, also does support controllers and is playable offline, but it's a paid game. If you're looking for a premium action or puzzle platformer, Oddworld New and Tasty is just one of the most visually and quality advanced games released on the platforms more than 5 years ago. The thing with this game is that upon release, it actually did have quite a bit of bugs and malfunction, but a few months back, developers released a patch that made the whole thing a perfect example of how a mobile game should be. Not only it is amazing with touchscreen controls, or even better with controller, the whole thing, as long as your phone's screen is big enough, feels like actually a PlayStation 4 game. Play it. It's about $5 in price, and it's offline, takes you down about 3 GB in storage. Really glad I didn't forget the second game today that's rated overwhelmingly positive in all stores is a platform, or rather narrative-driven adventure, something called Gris. This is actually from the same developers of more than 20 AAA console games, and I kid you not, straight up one of the most beautiful games you will ever play for $5. It's something that you just have to go in without any background knowledge to have a full meltdown in your mind along the way. 20 out of 10 if I could. The graphics, controller support, music, and the story is literally out of this world. Next up, we have a very well-known top-down in portions, but at its core, the open-world action RPG adventure. I'm pretty sure most of you know over the one-of-a-kind mobile port, the game Oceanhorn. What probably you'd get by mixing Uncharted with Zelda, more on the Zelda side though, because it's a puzzle game mostly, rather than action, but it's a story-focused game and pretty good in every single element for a free one. It's got great controls, great graphics, great story, and about 24 hours of gameplay, all for free. From half a year ago, we've got over here the most well-received Heroes and Castles sequel. This is, for those of you new, a third-person action RPG strategy and a castle defense mashup. The game is, in my opinion, a phenomenal because it's got a ton of in-game content and races and characters to just choose from. It's addicting, one of the most, at the moment, takes you down about 700 megabytes in storage. You can play the game on both platforms, however, there's a premium version where you don't really need to watch any ads or anything, and you can play it offline. There is another version which is free and you gotta use a Wi-Fi. Gangsta Vegas at number 12, y'all definitely know at this point, is a open world Grand Theft Auto clone that's been around since 2013. It's the most downloaded game in the list, it's downloaded over 100 million times, and similar to Grand Theft Auto Vice City, players will have to take on the role of a gangster and engage in wars. It offers a wide range of vehicles where players can engage in racing challenges, fights, heists. It's literally Grand Theft Auto for mobile devices, except made by an indie developer. Check it out. Game's about 3 GB in size, play with a controller, and it's actually free all the way. Number 13, we have Rocket League Sideswipe. First off, a mobile spin-off of Rocket League that came out kinda last year, and the single most fine-tuned touchscreen support game on the Google Play, in my opinion, in just gameplay mechanics. This game does offer support for a controller. It's a skill-based platform style kind of soccer game, but then with cars, so it's also a racing game. Downloaded over 10 million times already, and so far considered as one of the most addicting games on the Play Store. Number 14.